Well, I want to do a couple unrelated things besides silver in this video because I don't think you're going to see silver do too much this month, you know. And we got the cat here, the wise old owl cat, man. He's a good guy. He's alright, man. Anyway, first off, I'll give you a couple other tidbits, in the economy. First off, the homes looks like it's slowing down. I was talked about that before. The homes look like the home sales, even though the home prices are going up and the total revenue is going up, there's less homes being sold. So it looks like Beezer Homes, they're going to be going down on their stock a little bit, probably. Probably things aren't hitting the expectations they want. Ruger Firearms, too. Gun sales have slowed down a little bit, and Ruger Firearms stock has done very well since maybe even before the silver crash. Say if you bought Ruger Firearms stock in early 2011, say January, you would have done a hell of a lot better on that stock than you would have with silver, right? But it's due for correction, probably due for correction. Commodities aren't looking too good right now, despite the PMI being up and all this type of stuff. One thing I always recall, going back to an older prediction out there back from Bank of America, if the American economy doesn't accelerate soon, it never will. Thus, we got the phony numbers about the PMI hitting record levels of in the last 30 years, as Chicago PMI going up to 65.9, right? Now, I'm going to actually talk about a couple different things in this video, from unrelated to silver in some ways, but just some food for thought. But one is, let me talk even real briefly, mention about Bitcoins. Bitcoins has been going up a lot lately in the last month or two, last couple months. And it's actually near the record high again. It's around 240. Now, I don't particularly like Bitcoins, to tell you the truth. I mean, Bitcoins to me is the whole problem with anything like this electronic or on paper. I could see maybe like I trust the U.S. dollar before I trust Bitcoins, but as in a speculative bet, man, somebody could have really made out very well, and nobody would have ever known how much money they made too, because it's all off the radar. That's something I'd avoid, though. Even though it's tempting, I'd avoid it. Now I want to get into a couple other things, especially about. This one thing that really surprised. Well, it doesn't totally surprise me, but it really just explains why there are problems. I guess the average person is pretty stupid in a lot of ways. It just surprises me. Well, not totally surprises me, but Vladimir Putin. I had a lot of videos on this guy. I realize he's a strong leader and he's slick, and a lot of people think that he's against the New World Order. Actually, the deal is he's for number one. He's for number one. Now, I'm going to point something else out. One of the things that since he got to be in his third term, which he pretty much, this is more like his fourth term, because Medvedev was never really the strong man. He was the president, but who was really running the show right behind the scenes. So he's almost like continuous power from many years ago, right, from his first time he was elected. So he's been in power a long time. But for his third term, which you might really call his fourth term, one is to actually have a lot more controls over the internet. And I'm thinking about Snowden, the guy that left the United States because of the NSA, so he goes over to Russia, and he's going to be working for him? An average person is probably going to say, Snowden was revealing the truth. I got news for you, man. The truth is crazier than you think. I think these guys on the top, man, they know there's a lot more shit going on, and they got the vast majority hoodwinked full to the max. Hoodwinked full to the max. Like, for instance, this is one thing I never liked about Bitcoins. You ever hear of the antivirus software out there, Kaspersky, which has a very high rating, Actually, you look at all the reviews on it. Kaspersky antiviral software is very high rating. Do you know that name really comes from? Who's actually part ownership of that? He's very famous. He's actually kind of like on the most wanted thug list in the world. It's FSB, KGB, Kaspersky. That guy. In other words, in the antiviral software, there's supposed to be, allegedly, all these backdoor ways of spying on people. Which, Putin's for too. So Snowden goes there. And, people are supposed to buy bitcoins because they're supposed to opt out of the Western banking establishment. Yeah. Something ain't adding up with this bullshit, man. Something ain't adding up all the way, man. I tell you that. You think they ain't facts? I don't know. Maybe it might take a little more of a Google search if you look up Kaspersky and KGB and antiviral software. Maybe you'll find out. But I never heard anybody mention that on a YouTube before. But I figure I'm going to mention it within this silver video so it gets buried in something versus gets too much attention, because I don't really want to bring out too much attention on this. But the stuff that's amazing is that the people in the West that are behind Russia today and Vladimir Putin and stuff, actually I think the only way Vladimir Putin is kind of like working against the West is because he's basically working for number one, himself. Now, I respect the guy. I know he's not stupid. He's slick. It's like if he's got this, he doesn't have me convinced of any damn thing, man. I mean, I can see right through him in 2 seconds. That's a one cold, hard, ruthless, vicious mofo all the way, man. He's been, there's been, all the stories about the wife beatings and all this other crap and all the other shit he did. He's no angel, man. He goes to church and looks like, and everybody buys it. The peasants buy it. I don't buy it. But, I have to put this out in here because, when people are talking about silver, they're talking about the collapse of the West. And, that's probably the whole plan of the whole New World Order all along, right? Collapse of the West and melding together of Russia and the West and being one big superpower that's more like a communist state, which is the whole Obamacare and everything. So, I mean, these silver pumpers, man, with this collapse of the West and let's get the banksters, and I don't know, man, they're stupid. They are stupid. It's like they're going from the frying pan into the fire, man. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing all the way. So, just want to point out some other things out there, because a lot of times when people are running to the alternative hero, they're running to the worst thing going, man. I mean, Bitcoins, it went up to 240. I mean, that'd be cool. I mean, if you bought it at $1 and you sold it at 240 or something, and nobody knew about the gains you had, boy, that'd be great, wouldn't it? But let me put it this way, for the most part, that isn't going to happen. And the other thing is, looking at security on the internet and financial security, as far as what goes on in banking and all this type of stuff, you got to figure, the powers that be basically have own the whole damn thing. And, so that's one of the things that gives some credibility to the physical metals. Definitely. Right? I mean, look it up for yourself about Kaspersky. The antiviral software, which is supposedly allegedly one of the best ones out there. And the KGB, FSB, Kaspersky, who is part of it. And, what some of the alleged things are that basically that's software that gives a backdoor into, what people are doing. Something maybe Snowden didn't mention, but he ran over to Russia. That's why I think there's a whole big game being played in front of people. Even this crap with Syria, how Putin stepped in, he's the man of peace. They can make anybody think anything, man. Now, one thing I think, though, with the Middle East, um, where it's probably going to really screw up a lot of this Pastor Lindsey Williams predictions, because this guy's in yo-yo anyway, is this Basin in Arkaranga Basin in Australia that has about as much oil as all of Saudi Arabia. You know what's going on with that? That's actually scaring the crap out of Iran, to tell you the truth. It is. Because basically, Iran's whole Iran or whatever the hell you say it. I say it Iran, That's how I say it. But they basically, their whole trump card is all the oil and stuff they have. But here it looks like Australia's got more oil than they got. So what's going to happen there, man? What's going to happen there? Makes them less important. But the whole deal with oil, though, is the way the elite keep control. It is. And, it's only through, I'm going to say this, the only way you're going to see silver jump up a lot is if they raise those oil prices a lot. You're not going to see oil stay at, $100 a barrel or whatever the hell it is, and silver stay where it is right now. Oil is going to have to go to $200 or $300 a barrel for silver to hit these crazy highs that everybody's hoping to get. Which means food's going to go up that much too. But I think they're throwing a monkey wrench in things by, something's going to happen pretty soon in the next couple years in the Middle East, because I think they're going to start getting oil out of Australia pretty soon. I mean, it doesn't take that long to start getting the best oil, the easiest accessible oil out of that area in the Arkaranga Basin. They're not going to be able to get all of it, but they're going to start tapping into it pretty damn fast. And, the Liberty rig that's up in Alaska that Lindsey Williams talks about, I mean, it's, if you really look at all the oil statistics out there, that Liberty rig is not as big a deal like he talked about all the time. That guy is so full of it. It's amazing. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I saw the numbers before, and it's not as big a deal as some of the other finds that are going on in the world that are more accessible. So, what I think is coming up, though, it's the age-old game. The elite want control, right? But they're going to do this possibly through the healthcare, big time. That's going to be one of the major things going on. And, nobody's got the balls to actually say, that healthcare is about total control, right? And, this is one of the main reasons you get silver anyway. It's because it's assets that you have that are always worth something to somebody, because it's an industrial asset, it's a precious metal, and it's been well known for centuries, that are basically not controlled by the electronic system, right? That's a very important consideration, right? So, but as far as, what's going to happen in the future, the only way silver's probably going to take off like a rocket ship, it's just the only way it's going to take off like a rocket ship. Oil is going to have to go up. It's not going to be all about the debt. It's not going to be all about the debt. It's actually going to be about a crisis. It's going to have to be a major crisis in the Middle East. And now that I think about it, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen fairly soon, because there's too many other oil discoveries coming on now in other parts of the world, especially like this one in Australia. So, that's something to think about. But, the electronic world, and this, I'm on YouTube, which means it's almost like I'm part of my KGB file here or something like that. But it's almost like the electronic world is the only way they can control people through. It's the only way. When you're talking about physical silver, you're talking about growing your own food, doing the stuff on your own, going back to the old ways. And I think somebody on the internet was talking about the Indian ways. Actually, we're going to go back to that probably in America. We're probably going to go back to more like the Indian ways, you know, be more self-sustaining and that type of stuff. And, you know, after this, the problems on your, you know, that come up upon us are basically solved. But, you know, I have to say, you know, the vast majority of people are extremely, extremely ignorant. Oh my God, it's beyond belief. It's beyond belief. Beyond belief. And, you know, so many examples out here is, you know, it's like, you know, I look at, and Vladimir Putin is not the worst guy in the world. I mean, the only thing I get focused in on this guy is that I can't believe so many Westerners think this guy's a good guy and a better alternative than what's going on with the Western elite. He's just, you know, Western elite are the same kind of crap. Vladimir Putin's sharper though. He's smoother. He's got a better front, you know. But hey, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. But people can't see that. But you know, it's like people are basically led around by the nose, and I don't know what the hell to say about this kind of crap anymore, because it's like, you know, you can't reach the dummies. You know, if I throw something out here about conspiracies, aliens, you know, the Illuminati are after us, big drama story, then people bite on that shit like it's the Alex Jones show, you know. But if you tell them the truth, they don't want to hear the truth. That's the problem. They don't want to hear the truth. You know what I mean? But the truth is actually pretty damn simple. It is. It's simple as all hell. But just to throw you a couple things out there, because you know, if you think about some of this stuff out there that the alternative media talks about, you know, Snowden, you know, talking about the NSA and the USA spying and stuff like that. Now that's a reason not to have bitcoins, because, you know, I don't see how that could be incognito, and if the NSA is all powerful, you know what I mean? Anything electronic cannot be considered safe. You know what I'm saying? It would have to be physical. It'd have to go back to old school all the way. But here's Snowden takes off to Russia. You know, Vladimir Putin in his third, or actually his fourth term, is talking about having much tighter internet security controls about what, you know, what goes on the internet and stuff like that. And, you know, Snowden's telling you it's bad in the United States, so he's going over there and he's going to work on a website. He's supposedly working for a website. For all I know, he's probably working for the KGB, FSB. And then you got something like, and I want to put this out here because I don't, you know, I'm putting it in a silver video, but I'm burying it here in a silver video because I don't really want it out as a separate video. Kaspersky software, if you look it up, it's actually KGB, FSB, Kaspersky, you know, he's actually behind a lot of that too. Supposedly, allegedly, it's a backdoor way to spy on people. You know, pretty much all the viruses out there are created by the antivirus software companies, if you haven't figured that out. Anybody that's a person that's a network engineer or, you know, whatever, they know this. They know this. And that's another reason to have physical goods, physical silver, and no physical skills, right? Because basically what's going to happen is in the United States, when things finally do collapse, you know, might not be good when it collapses, and, you know, might not be good for a while, but we're probably going to go back to the old ways. Maybe like way the Indians did. And maybe not like the American Indians, maybe more like the, well, maybe somewhat, maybe like the Hopi Indians or the Mayan Indians or something like that. You know, combining some kind of technology with free energy and, you know, communications and that type of stuff, and living, you know, closer to the land. It might be something like that. So, just got to say this, you know, for the like financial gurus out there, like Manarino, who thinks they know. Guy's funny, man. If you've been following him, you think you figured that out for after a while. Oh, if I want to point something else out, if you're like trading oil or something like that, if you want to keep it real simple, like Lindsay, you know, I got some stuff in oil, and I'm still holding on it long, double leverage. And I think it's going to play out eventually. I just hold it, whatever, you know. And if you're actually, trading in and out of the markets, oil is actually not super, super difficult to trade because it does move in $10 increments. It might go down to close to 90. And then, it always goes, like if it goes below 100, it usually goes down to 90. And if it goes above 100, it usually goes up to 110 if it closes. So if you're trading and you want to play around with that simple advice I just gave you right there, that might actually give you some bucks. I'm not doing it though. I'm not doing it. Because I figured that when oil goes up, they're going to have to pull the plug sometime on the Middle East pretty soon, because if there's going to be a deliberate crash in the West, they're going to have to do it through the oil prices. That's what's going to crash the economies. And that's what's going to drive silver up. And now that I think that this Australian Archipelago basin is coming online, it's going to be coming. They're going to start drilling there probably in 2 or 3 years. I mean, they won't have the whole thing online, but just use a little common sense. That oil is going to be coming out pretty soon. So that means if they're going to do this super spike in oil and silver and gold, it's going to have to be coming up over the next few years, really soon, not far away. And like I said, again, there's good reason not to trust anything electronic because of even how the antiviral software is basically spiked. It's KGB, FSB, Kaspersky. And even Vladimir Putin that's one of his big things on his 4th term in office, to get a lot more controls over the internet. And that's where Snowden went. I don't know, man. I don't know. People ain't thinking, man. But you know what's going to happen? We're probably going to go back to square one, to the simple times. That's what's going to probably happen.